Young scholars, can you see my screen on your end?
Yes.
Do you see Blackboard currently?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody's first day of classes is off to a good start.
Yeah.
Do that game again. Where you win books. Oh. No. Not, come on. I'm putting the books away. I'm not going to give you these books. Yep, and you asked for something special. I don't think that's a giggle. Ooh. That's a giggle. That's one page.
All right, young scholars, I think we'll start. We're still waiting on a couple people, but I'm recording this, so if they happen to miss today's meeting, I'll post it up on Blackboard. So you should all be in the right place for BITM 2701, Management Info Systems. Are any of you familiar with using Excel or Access? Just a couple of you? Okay, well, that's the focus of this course primarily. So I've taught this course in the past multiple times, as I'm sure you may have heard from other friends of yours. I made some changes to the grading this semester. So there's no longer 3 tests. There's only going to be 3. When we meet in person, it's going to be in Corrigan, room 69. The reason I like that building, even though it can be a little warm during the first couple weeks of classes, is the student help for the any computer issues you may have is right downstairs. So say you lost your cord or there's an issue with your computer, you can go right downstairs and get assistance with that. So the agenda today is go over a little bit about the course, my availability, introduce Blackboard, grading and grading scale, how you can succeed in the course without really trying, the academic dishonesty policy, the homework, and then we'll go through our 2 practice examples for the day, which will help you with your, well, one of the homeworks. So again, going to review the course description, course objectives, course competencies, and the participation policy. So if you go into today's folder on Blackboard by clicking content And then 829, you'll see this intro PowerPoint I'm going through right now, and I'm about to pull up the course syllabus, which is right above it. The description, again, we're going to focus primarily on Excel and Access. Objectives are to understand and use personal computers based on software packages, in this case, primarily Microsoft Office. And then due to the 2.5-hour timer frame, the understand principles about IT, the internet, World Wide Web, e-commerce, and Web 2.0. That's one specific lesson. And the competencies, you may have seen the technology competency is the same for the university, change management competency, communications competency, all the same throughout many of these courses within BITM. So I'm going to focus on the course requirements, the participation info, how the homework assignments work, etc. So in the past, I've taught this course. There's been an Excel exam that everybody that takes BITM 2701 takes a different version of it. It's pretty difficult. So a lot of times I give extra credit on the second exam, which is on Access. And then the third exam in the past has been basically just an Excel assignment and 20 questions on the Infotech lesson. This semester, I've decided to just make that Excel assignment an assignment, and those 20 questions on Infotech into a quiz, which I'll show you momentarily. Participation, it's pretty simple. There's 14 course meetings. You can earn up to 28 possible participation points. If you show up, it's 1 point. If you show up and participate, it's 2 points. If you don't show up, it's 0 points. I know sometimes you may have what's considered an excused absence, but you still would get 0 points if you don't show up. In a situation like that, if you wanted to attend on Teams, I allow that. This way you can participate and get a point, even if you can't physically come to class. All the homework assignments are posted right on Blackboard. I don't accept late assignments unless there's some kind of documentation involved. Somebody in your family passed away, you were ill and got a note from your doctor or the student health center there. They should all be done on your own. Do not copy any assignment. Most of the weeks, you'll be given an option to do one or the other, and you'll see that when we go over the work today. Academic dishonesty policy is the same as for every class you have. Specific to the Stillman School of Business, if you have such an academic dishonesty issue, it may result in expulsion. Even though you're just working with Excel and Access files, I can go in and see, oh, this was Johnny's file and Bobby edited it. Just so you know, even though there may not be Turnitin or other programs that detect cheating. So the participation grade is 10%. The Excel exam, same as always that I've taught this course, is 30%. That may be backed up a little this year. I believe we're going to have it on the 17th of October. The SQL quiz you will do the day of your Access exam. It's 10 simple PowerPoint I show you in class. The IT quiz, like I said, it was in previous semesters, half of the third exam. Now it's just an IT quiz. The Access exam is the second exam, which basically we do a example in class and you have it all set up for when the actual Access exam is the following week. In the past, I've just had homeworks by themselves together. So the Excel homeworks this semester are going to be worth 25%. The Access homeworks are going to be worth 15%. So it helps you with the participation grade. I mentioned those 28 points possible for the 14 class meetings. The intro post, which is one of your homework assignments after today's class, is worth 50 points and counts towards participation. So that's, 50 out of 78 points towards participation is pretty big towards the grade. The grading scale, which I'll repeat again in the slide, is the same as the standard. Going forward today, we're going to review the course syllabi, the course intro PowerPoint, like I'm going through now. We're going to touch on basic formulas. We'll basically do work with a stocks tutorial, then an inventory tutorial, and an inventory analysis tutorial. We'll work on percent and changing formats while tying it to business-specific content. For homework, and because we do not meet next Monday due to the university being closed for Labor Day, these two homework assignments are due Sunday, the 11th at 11:59 p.m. Every assignment's going to be due Sunday night, 11:59 p.m. on the due date listed here, just to make it easy. So in this case, you'll technically have 13 days to do it. That intro post I mentioned, which I'll show you guys momentarily, and you choose from Excel Homework 1A or Excel Homework 1B, and I'll show you that momentarily. And each of those tie exactly directly to the examples we're going to do in class. So for the first 4 course meetings, that's what I do. I'll show you an example that's similar to Homework 1A, and then an example that's similar to Homework 1B. You choose which one to do for your homework. Same thing. I'll show you an example that's similar to each of the homeworks choices, and you pick one of them. On the 3rd, we'll have the Excel practice exam. Like I said, it's a pretty hard exam. So I give a version in the classroom, show you guys ahead of time what you'll be expected. And then the 10th, we have our fall break. There's no class that day. So you guys, quote unquote, have 2 weeks to study before the Excel exam. Then after that Excel exam, we'll go through 3 simple Excel, quote unquote, assignments. We'll do them right in class. So the checkbook, the mortgage calculator, the cost benefit analysis, and each one of those are these homework assignments here. Again, you'll see it'll be due Sunday night. Then during the Access portion, there's only going to be 2 homework assignments that you have to do on your own. And then there's an Access and SQL group homework, which is basically like 5 homework assignments put together. You'll probably be in groups of 5 or 6 and do all that work together. So this meeting on the 21st of November, we'll go through that SQL PowerPoint that the SQL quiz is on, and then set up your Access database for your Access exam. The following week, it will be the Access exam and the SQL quiz. Might take you all of 30 to 40 minutes to do. And then the 5th of December, we'll go over that IT concepts PowerPoint I was telling you about. Basically, that day of classes would be what the previous 3rd exam has been in my previous courses. But in this case, you just do the IT concepts quiz and the homework assignment associated with it. And then the last class, we do goal seek and pivot tables. And again, those homework assignments will be done right in class. So easy 50 out of 50 for them. So again, no class meeting next Monday, the 5th, because it's Labor Day, and no class meeting on the 10th of October because it's fall break. Okay. So my availability. So when I'm on campus, this course will run 2 to 4:30. Most of the time will be done by 4 o'clock. Then I have another class at 5 that runs from 5 to 7:30 p.m. So you can meet with me in between that time period, or you could come back into the classroom, say 7:30, if that works better for you. Or you could set up a digital office hour meeting with me. I'm comfortable with Skype, Zoom, or any Teams, any agreeable technology tool you may want to meet with. You may just need to email me. That's fine as well. You may just have a simple question. So who has used Blackboard before? Anybody in class? Have you all used Blackboard, or you're all freshmen right out of the box today? Okay, so the way I try to set things up, I try to make it very easy for you. You just click the content tab, and literally all of our meetings have folders. So every class meeting we have has a folder. You just click the folder. So for today, we're going through the course syllabus, the intro PowerPoint. I'll touch on the Stillman spreadsheet design guidelines momentarily. Like I said, the stock market practice will be basically similar to what you have to do for your homework 1A if you choose that. And the inventory and raises practice is similar to homework 1B if you choose to do that. So you'll notice if you click inside assignments, you have that intro post. Excel homework 1A is the possible choice. You'll choose whatever the price of stocks were on your 16th birthday as part of that. You'll read through the instructions there, or you choose homework 1B. You do one or the other, and you'll notice these instructions are similar to the example we're going to do in class with the inventory tutorial. If you choose 1B, there's a file called Milligan associated with it that you download. Sometimes I get yelled at, I'm going too quickly. There's going to be a folder most of the time in these meeting folders that says if you missed class. So if you click on that today, you'll see this stocks tutorial. It may not be exactly the same that I do today because I did that back in 2020 when I taught this course online during COVID. So you can watch that right there if I go too fast for you. And then the inventory tutorial will probably be exactly the same as I go through for that example. So again, those are the in-course examples that are similar to the homework, but not exactly the same. Again, the grading and grading scale here is listed. We went through that. So how do you succeed in my classes without really trying? Ask any questions you have, any issues. Like I said, submit the homework assignments on time because, like I said, without documentation, I don't accept lates. Complete that class project, which is the group work for Access and SQL. Review prior to the exams. Like I said, we do basically a practice for the Excel one in class. We set up your Access exam in class, the class before. Participate and come to class on time. So pretty simple, pretty easy. Like I said, the academic dishonesty policy is the same as you've had for every course you've had. And with my courses, you should be able to do all the coursework simply based on the information I give you, and if you decide to go and watch the YouTube videos after the fact. So like I said, there's 2 homework assignments after this course meeting. The first one is that intro post. It just helps me know who you are. My other class web development apps, basically everybody I've had before, so I don't do that in that course. So I teach in multiple universities and colleges is another reason. And like I said, this is 50 points towards the participation grade. In the past, it didn't really count too much because it was just thrown in with the other assignments. Then for the Excel homework 1, you either choose homework 1A or homework 1B. Like I said, it's similar to the examples in class. And because there is no course meeting next Monday due to the university being closed for Labor Day, the assignments will be due Sunday, September 11th. Okay, so is there any questions so far with that basic introduction with the course? Yes, no, maybe so.
No questions, thank you.
All right, so the Stillman spreadsheet design guidelines, you may have these, or they may show you this in other courses. You can download and look through it. It's just simple. 2 pages of how courses within the School of Business want you to set up your formulas and your formatting for this specific course. I really don't exactly care because each of the homework instructions will tell you, or the exam instructions will tell you. For example, one homework may say only have 2 decimal places. Another example may tell you have no decimal places, and you simply do whatever the instructions tell you to. So this is just for you guys to look through. For your other classes, they may want certain setup. All I ask is that when you submit your Excel files, you simply put your name somewhere, so I know who submitted it. It's easy to go through. Simple enough, right? Okay, so go ahead and click on Blackboard to download the stock market practice. It should look something like this. So when everybody's ready with that and has that downloaded, do the little raise hand thing that you guys have been doing on the side here. So I'm going to use Yahoo Finance to look up the stock price and dividend for these. It's entirely up to you what you use. Some people may use CNBC or just find it somewhere else online. That's entirely up to you. So everybody has the stock market Excel file downloaded and opened. Again, if you have it, it's inside content on our Blackboard. Today's folder, 829. Scroll down, click stock market practice. So while we're waiting for those last few people to download it, who here has a MacBook? Does anybody have a MacBook? Or does everybody have the ThinkPad that the university gave them?
I have a MacBook.
I have a MacBook too.
Okay, so 2 of you have MacBooks.
I have one too.
Okay, 3. So what you 3 want to do when we get to the Access section of the course, make sure you get in a group with other people that have, a regular ThinkPad, because MacBooks don't allow access. I'll show you the open source version, but for that project and the 2 homework assignments, you're going to have to, I guess, borrow a ThinkPad from downstairs in Corrigan for a day to do the 2 homeworks. And then, like you said, just get in a group with people that have the regular ThinkPad or Windows laptop. All right, so hopefully everybody's ready. All right, so for the stocks tutorial example, as I promised, it's similar to homework 1A. You'll see here with homework 1A, you're asked for the name of stock, stock symbol, number of shares owned, price per share paid for the stock, current per share price, dividend per share per year. You should choose 4 different stocks. So for the price per share that you paid for the stock, for the homework, for homework 1A, I'm asking you to choose whatever the price was on the day you turned 16. And then, as you'll see momentarily as we go through it, you're asked to compute the following: current profit loss per share, current total value of the stock, current profit loss percentage, and the yield. So the yield is tied to the dividend. If the stock does not have a dividend, there's going to be no yield. Okay, so I chose 4 stocks that I own: Twitter, Callaway, Amazon, and Facebook. So like I said, for the YouTube example, these numbers may not be the same. I'm just going to come up with them off the top of my head. They don't match what I actually own. So actually, I'll ask you guys, how many shares should I own of Twitter?
10.
Just 10? Okay. We're not confident Elon is taking over, I guess. All right. Owen, can you hear me?
Yeah.
How many shares should I own of Callaway?
14.
14. Okay. We're not big spenders yet. All right. Amazon. Let's see. Erin, Miley, how many shares of Amazon should I own?
50.
50. Okay. And Malik, how many shares of Facebook should I own?
100.
100. Okay. So the more expensive ones we're buying more of. Okay. So for Twitter, price per share paid for the stock, I'll give you 42, because that's actually close to what I paid for it. Callaway, $2.50. Amazon, let's get some more participation. Is it pronounced Jaslyn? Jasleen? How much did I pay for Amazon? All right. Riley, how much did I pay for Amazon?
You want me just to make up a random number or,
Yep,
how about $12?
$12. Okay. Got in on the ground floor. That's good. And who wants to give me Facebook? Andrew. Andrew D.
Yep.
How much?
$170.
$170. Okay. I got in pretty late on Facebook, apparently. So now, like I said, to look up, you have to look up the current per share cost. So in my example here, I'm going to give you today's cost. If you did homework 1A, then you're going to look up the price that it was on your 16th birthday. So Twitter today is $40.25.
Not to interrupt, but I have a question. So if you're doing homework 1A, that means the current price of the share is the price you look up on your 16th birthday, or is the price paid per stock?
Right. So the price per share paid for stock would be your 16th. Sorry.
Okay.
And then the current per share cost would be,
Today.
so I'm doing today. You may decide to wait until next Sunday to do this, whatever the price says that day.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
So Callaway is $22.71. Amazon, last they checked, was in the thousands. They must have split it again. So 130.52. And for Facebook, did Metaverse ruin anything? 160.55. So does everybody know why this has changed multiple times while I've had this up?
They changed the name.
No, I mean the price. Have you seen it change multiple times? Do you know why that is?
No.
So the stock market's still open till 4 o'clock. So this is live updates on the stock price based on trades and sales. So that's why, for example, if you do this right after class today, this current per share cost may be completely different tomorrow. Maybe very different come next time we meet. All right, dividend per share per year. So depending on the stock, they may provide a dividend for you. Looking at all this information here, what might give away whether or not the stock has a dividend or not? Anybody have any guesses?
Can you repeat what you said by any chance? My volume on my computer isn't very good.
Sure. So we're looking forward to see whether the stock has a dividend or not. So we have this entire box of information here. What might give it away whether or not a stock has a dividend or not?
Where it says for dividend and yield.
Technically, yes, but also right below it. Ex-dividend date. If it has a dividend date, instead of NA, it'll show an actual date for when the either next dividend is or the most recent dividend. So what are we looking at? Facebook? So for our dividend per share per year for Facebook, we put in $0 because it doesn't have a dividend. So now we're going to look for Amazon. So Amazon also does not have a dividend. So again, you put $0 there. So now we look for Callaway. And so as I can tell you specifically, they used to do dividends. I think they were about 10 cents per share. But due to COVID, they were losing money and decided to not do dividends anymore. So that's why this ex-dividend date says May 26, 2020, because that's the last time they gave one. So in the example on the YouTube page that's put in the if you missed class folder, it's not going to say $0. It'll show you how to calculate an actual dividend. You multiply the dividend by the number of shares you own. But because we currently don't have a dividend with Callaway, we change that to $0. Now we check Twitter. And Twitter does not offer a dividend. So all of our dividends are $0. So I'm going to scroll over to column K where yield is to show you how to calculate that. You'll notice all of them are 0% because none of them have a dividend. In order to calculate your yield, you divide the dividend, which in each case is whatever is in G. So G3, G4, G5, G6. Divided by your price per share paid for the stock, whatever is in E. So in this example, it's G3 divided by E3. But because they're all 0, our yield is 0. Now, if you don't have these come up as percentages, you want to right click, select Format Cells. Under Category, click Percentage. And depending on what the instructions say for that specific assignment, you can change the decimal places to 2, 0, 1, depending on what it asks for you. Okay, so everybody's with me so far?
Do you have, I'm sorry, quick question. Do you have an example of what it looked like if you have a dividend?
Yes. So as I mentioned, the example here under if you missed class, if you actually watch this, it shows you what Callaway was back in 2020. So for example, that may be 10 cents for the dividend. So we do multiply our 10 cents times our number of shares owned. So in this example, our 10 cents times D4 for Callaway, and it'd be $1.40 per year.
Okay, thank you.
And then you scroll down to where yield is now, and it shows our yield is 40%. So say you pick I think a lot of people have picked in the past Disney, and they've had a dividend. So you would calculate it the same way. The price times your number of stocks. Now, if they have 4, dividends a year they give out, then you'd also multiply that by 4. But they will show that information, whether you pull it up on Yahoo Finance or CNBC or whatever site you choose to use. If you're not comfortable with Yahoo Finance and aren't sure where else to look, feel free to email me for other examples of websites. So you notice for the other two, I already have the form, or the other three rather, I already have the formulas set up for you. So for current profit or loss per share, all you're doing is subtracting the current per share cost by the price you paid. So in our first example for Twitter, we lost $1.75 per share because we're subtracting 42 from 425. That's why that is negative. Facebook is also negative because our current cost or the current price today is lower than the price we paid. Make sense? So for two of these, we've lost money. For two of them, we've gained money because 2271 is greater than 350 and 130.52 is greater than 12. So does that make sense?
Yes.
So this is just per share. So if you wanted to find out how much you made, you would multiply these by your number of shares. So what was our example here? Amazon. So for Amazon, we would take that 118, multiply it by our number of shares. Overall, based on the numbers you guys gave me, Amazon has made us almost $6,000. And by the same token, let's use our Facebook example. Facebook has lost us almost $1,000. Make sense? This is overall. Above it is our per share, what we've lost or gained. And that's what people will do a lot of times with their dividends. They get, they have 100 shares, say they get $1 each in dividends. They may reinvest that $100 back in and buy more shares. Make sense? So these are our current profit loss. These four are per share. Below it is for the stocks. This one is Amazon. This is for Facebook. Our number above, 118 times 50, or 945 times 100. Then next to it, we have what is called current total value of stock. And that's pretty simple to calculate. It's just your current per share cost times your number of shares. So it's 4025 times 10, 2271 times 14, 130.52 times 50, 160.55 times 100. So all of these numbers will change based on your examples. So say you choose stocks you know of, you may choose, higher amounts of shares, which will change all of those. So then we calculate our current profit loss percentage, which is our per share current or profit loss divided by our price paid. So again, that just tells us for one specific share. So for every share of Twitter, it's down 4.17%. Our Callaway, our golf equipment is up pretty big. Our Amazon is up pretty big. And our Facebook is down. Again, if you want to calculate this for everything, you multiply it by your number of shares. So technically that's, down 41.7%. So this will be down, what was that, 100 we multiplied it by? So again, we can right click it, format cells, set to percentage. Zuckerberg's cost us a lot of bread, you can see. Lost a lot of money there. So again, in the homework 1, you'll use this example, but modify based on your 16th birthday. Again, like we covered before, that is going to be your price per share paid for stock. Now, if it doesn't have, for example, a specific stock may not have existed on your 16th birthday, then go ahead and choose a different one just to make it easy on yourself to do that homework. So because that's much quicker and easier to do, a lot of people end up doing that homework the first week. Okay, so everybody's clear on that? Pretty simple, like you said. Nearly everybody does that homework 1A because it's very similar to that. Okay, so now we will do the inventory tutorial and inventory analysis tutorial that are similar to homework 1B. Again, if you choose homework 1B, download this Milligan Excel file that's associated with it. For us to do that, you click and download inventory and raises practice. It'll come up looking like this. Click on the raises tab. We'll go through that quickly first because it's much easier. And do the little raise hand thing when you have that downloaded. So when we meet in person, I'm going to break in between the two specific examples that I give in class, just because we're meeting on Teams and you guys may want to get started on the homework. I'm just gonna run right through, and this way maybe we get done 3:30, 4 o'clock, and you guys can go on with the rest of your day. So while we're waiting, there were no questions on that. Like I said, most people end up doing that homework 1A just because it's much simpler than this example.
This might be a stupid question.
There's no stupid question.
But I can't, once again, I can't hear that well in the room. But where did you find, where would you find that number for a dividend? Because I know if it says the NA, there's no dividend. Where would you find a number for it?
So if it says X dividend date NA, they don't offer a dividend. So it's just $0. So let's see if Lululemon has a dividend. Okay. Maybe Walmart has one. Okay, so see this number here for Walmart,
Yeah.
224. So that's $2.24.
And then that would be the number that you put in?
Right.
Okay, perfect.
But then you would have to look, like here it says dividend, ex-dividend date is December. So that's the previous one. So they may have 4 a year, they may do 2 a year, and you'd have to look up like this, you know, Walmart dividends per year. And so last time they may have paid 56 cents. So in your example, you may multiply that by the number of shares and just leave it like that, and that's fine. Or if you find they do,
So if it says that they do multiple dividends a year, you would just multiply that number by how many times a year they give it out?
and then multiply it by your
And
number
then
of
by
shares.
how many shares? Okay,
Right.
thank you.
So if it just, you know, Walmart may only do 1 dividend a year. Some companies do that. Sometimes they may do 4 a year each quarter. So then you multiply it by 4. You just basically Google it, and look up to see. So it sounds like everybody's ready to go, maybe, hopefully. Okay, so like I said, the raises tab here in the Excel file there is much easier to go through. So we'll first go through that and then go through our inventory analysis, which like I said is very, very, very similar to homework 1B. So who knows how to calculate your raise if you're making 40,000 a year and then getting a 50 or a 5% raise? Does anybody know how to calculate that?
Would you multiply your salary by 0.05 and then add it to it?
Exactly, but there's a simpler way to do it. So 40,000 times, instead of 0.5, and then add it to itself, we can do 1.05. So we're multiplying it by itself and then that 5% raise. So why is it 0.05 and not 0.5?
Because 0.5 would be a 50% raise.
Yep. So make sure you always keep that in mind. Some people in the past have made mistakes and they end up getting the incorrect answer because they did 1.5 and not 1.05. So when you hit enter, you get 42,000. So our 5% raise gave us an extra $2,000 a year. Believe that gave that example? So you can do it the same exact way. It's the same exact answer. But it's quicker and easier just to do it with the 1.05. All right, next we're asked, you make 40,000 a year and 45,000 next year. What's your raise? Does anybody know how to calculate that?
Wouldn't that be the new price that you're getting paid minus the old price you're getting paid over the old price?
Very good. So since these are simple numbers, we know that 45,000 minus 40,000 is just 5,000. And then we divide that by our old amount of 40,000. So everybody sees where we got the 5,000. It's 45,000 minus 40,000, then divided by our old wage of 40,000. So that's not right. Right-click that, format cells. That should be 12.5%. 5,000, there we go. So if it pops up with a percentage at the end of your formula, delete it, or else you get 125% for some reason. So everybody should get 12.5%, correct? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
All right. And for our last one, we're asked, you currently make $13.22 in the summer per hour. Your pay drops to $11.22 on Friday. What percentage did your pay drop by?
Wouldn't it be the same formula as the previous one, just with your summer pay and the new pay on Friday?
Yep. So our 13.22 minus 11.22 gives us $2 divided by our old wage of 13.22. Everybody see that again? 13.22 minus 11.22 gives us 2 divided by the old wage of 13.22. When you hit enter, we format to percentage, and we get 15.13%. Simple enough. So now when you guys get raises at your jobs, you can calculate how much your raise actually is. 4%, 2%, 1%. All right, so everyone clear on that? So now we'll go over to the inventory analysis tab and do our example here. So in my example, I only have 10 items listed. In the Milligan example, I think it's something like 50. So like you said, that's why most people do the homework 1A instead of 1B, because homework 1A is much easier to do. So this, we do a lot of work with formulas. Who's familiar with min, max, average? Nobody? Okay, a few of you. So you can either type them out or under formulas here. In this example, they should be under math and trig. And of course, they're not. So they would be under statistical, max, min, average is up at the top. Or like I said, you could type them in. And I'll show you that. So in this example, we're asked to basically see how our sales are doing for certain items. So I made up all these ridiculous items for sale, you know, Hulk Hogan's boa he used to wear around his neck, Terry Bradshaw signed football, Peyton Manning autographed helmet, etc., etc.
Go in there and you can talk about what you want. No one will
Oh,
say
okay.
anything, so it's a little.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. But
This
yeah,
doesn't end for a little while. Would I be able to go in there at
Yeah.
like 5? Okay.
Well, now, you can go in right now. It's available all day.
Okay.
Okay?
Right. So we need to calculate our max or our unit cost and unit sales price, as well as our min. So does anybody know how to calculate that? Sophia, you know? No, nobody knows? We would first type equals max, parenthesis, and then highlight our entire range, close the parenthesis. So in this case, it would be C2 colon C11. And when we hit enter, we see our max is the Elon Musk autographed Tesla. And to make things easier on ourselves, we can simply scroll to the bottom of that cell to get the black plus you see on the screen and drag it over. That's called autofill. And you'll again see the unit sales price, the max is the same for both because they're the max from our list. And we do the same for our min. Equals min, parenthesis, highlight our range, close parenthesis. We notice our minimum cost is the Tom Hanks autograph movie for $19. Drag it over to autofill the same way. And our minimum here is our Judge Judy autographed gavel. Simple enough. So then for G through K, we're asked to calculate an average min and max. And you'll notice there's nothing in those cells yet. So when we type in our formula, equals average, parenthesis, highlight our range, close parenthesis, we get a dividend or a division error. That's simply because we have nothing in these cells yet. We fill our average formula through. We get that same error, again, because we have nothing in these cells. As we calculate them, these will change to actual numbers. Do the same for min and max below it. And in those examples, we're getting $0 because since there's nothing in the cells, it's technically zero. Does that make sense for everyone? So you notice below all of these, it shows us how to calculate each of these formulas. Cost of average inventory. We have unit cost times average on hand. In this example, that's C2 times E2. Our unit cost times our average on hand. Again, we click on the bottom of that cell, get the black plus, drag down. It does all the work for us now. And you'll notice our average, min, and max changes. Next, for annual sales, we're told that it's our unit sales price times our average unit sales per year. So that is our unit sales price, D2, times our unit sales per year, F2. Again, if you click enter, we get an answer now. We click back into the cell to get the black plus, drag down to autofill, and it does all the formulas for us. Everything else. And now our average, min, and max are done for us. For cost of goods sold, we're told unit cost times average unit sales per year. Again, unit cost is in C, so we do C2 times our average unit sales per year, which is an F. So C2 times F2. Again, multiply to get our answer. Click back in the cell. Drag it down with the black plus to autofill. And again, we have all our work done for us. Our average, min, and max is now done. Our annual gross profit now says annual sales minus cost of goods sold. So that is simply our H2 minus I2. Click enter, we have our answer. Again, we click back in to autofill down. It does all the work for us, and it updates our average, min, and max. Now for gross margin ratio, it tells us to divide annual gross profit by annual sales per unit. So that is J2 divided by H2. And we get 50%. This should be a percentage. If you do not have it as a percentage, right click, format cells, click on percentage. Up to you. You can keep it as 2 decimal places, 0, that's fine. Click back in, autofill it down. Does all the work for us. Go ahead and highlight your average, min, and max. Format cells and make them percentages. Okay, so the last formula we're given is for markup based on cost. It's inside parentheses, unit sales price minus unit cost divided by unit cost. So similar to what we were doing with our raise formulas. So this would be D2 minus C2, close parentheses, divided by C2. So our unit sales price is in column D, our unit cost is in column C, divided by our unit cost, which is in column C. And if that's not a percentage, right click, format cells, click percentage, okay. And we autofill this down. For the rest of these, we're not calculating our average, min, or max. So now we're going to calculate our total cost of average inventory. We already have this. So all we need to do is do equals G2. And drag that down. In cell M12, let's calculate our total of all of these. So we do that equals sum, parenthesis, highlight our range, M2, M11, close parentheses, and hit enter. and then drag this across through V12. So we have our total now for each of those columns. Again, it'll say 0 because we have nothing in this so far. So our total annual gross profit, again, we already have. This time it's in column J. So we do J2. Calculate it, drag it down, autofill, everything's done for us. For total cost of goods sold, we already have that in F. So we do equals F2, enter, click back in, autofill through. It's all done for us. Again, total annual sales is already given for us. That's in H. We do equals H2. Calculate, autofill it down. Everything's done for us. So now in Q, we want to calculate our percentage of total annual sales. That's why we wanted all these totals here. So in this case, we're going to have to use what is called an absolute cell reference. In this first example, we do equals P2 divided by P12. But we make this an absolute so that when we autofill down, that does not change. Does anybody know how to do an absolute? It's very simple. All you have to do to make an absolute cell reference is put a $sign before the P and a $sign before the 12. So when we pull this down, the only part of this formula that changes is the first part. So P2 becomes P3, P4, P5, etc. And this will say $1, which is, in this instance, 100%. And we're almost done. 5 more to calculate. I'm in the middle of teaching. Another 10, 15 minutes. Okay, so we have our last 5 calculations here. In order to calculate our unit cost increase by 5%, similar to our raises, we refer back to our unit cost in C2 and simply multiply that by 1.05 because we're increasing it by 5%. We select and autofill down, and it calculates everything for us. So next, we're asked for the unit sales price.
The last one.
The last one?
Yeah.
Yes.
The cost increased by 5%.
So we're referring back to our unit cost was in column C. So C2 times 1.05, which is 1 plus our 5%. And then when you calculate, you autofill it down.
Oh, quick question. Sorry, can you go
Okay.
back to column O really quick? I missed that part.
So this, we're calculating our percentage of total annual sales. What each item is, our sales. So we do our P2 divided by this number here, our total, P12. Well, we have to make it an absolute. So we put a $sign before the P, a $sign before the 12. So this way, when we drag it down, you'll see only the first part of the formula changes.
Okay, thank you.
So here for unit sales price increased by 3%. Our unit sales price is back in column D. So we do D2 times 1.03. which is our 3% increase. So when you have that formula set up, you then autofill everything down, does the other 9 for us. So now we're asked to do the average unit sales per year decrease by 1%. So previously we've been all doing, increases. So there's 2 ways you could do this. So our average unit sales is way back in column F. So you could do F2 times 0.99, which is a 1% decrease. Or you could do F2 minus F2 times 0.01. Make sure you have your parentheses if you do that. But like I showed you with the other examples, it's easier to just keep it as a simple formula and do it F2 times 0.99, which is our 1% decrease. We autofill all of them down, and it calculates the other 9 for us. So our last 2 are pretty simple. We're asked to calculate the new total company annual sales,
What's up?
which is our S column times our T column. So our new unit sales
Fuck, dude. Wait.
times our new average unit sales.
He was lying, yeah. He was capping you. Wait, give me a second, all right? We're almost done.
And we autofill all of them down. And we have one formula left to compute.
What's that?
Calculate our new total
Yeah,
company annual gross profit.
So what is the answer to this question?
You do U2, our new total company annual sales, minus, parenthesis, our unit cost, which is in R2, times our average unit sales, which is in T2. Close out the parenthesis, enter, autofill it all down, and now we're done with that. So you guys can see why everybody does the homework 1A. You can all see now why everybody does the homework 1A example instead of the homework 1B example, because that one is much more involved. All right, does anybody have any questions? If not, that covers everything we were shooting to get through today. Again, there's no class next Monday due to the university being closed for the Labor Day holiday. So like I said, you'd have until Sunday the 11th to complete the intro post. And again, you choose one or the other for the homework. It's either 1A or 1B. So if there's no questions on that, you're all free to go, and I'll hopefully see you in person in 2 weeks.
Professor,
Yes.
when is the homework 1A or the B one due?
So both of them, the intro post and whatever choice you do for the Excel homework, are due the day before our next class, Sunday, September 11th at 11:59 p.m.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good one.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.